is fine if you're one-on-one, but when you're with the family or in a group, things get crazy and fast. This video is for you. Let's look at why that is. When your child is just with you, there are two people. And so the number of lines of communication that the child has to hold, not very many. You communicate to me and I communicate to you. If you're the adult and the child isn't tracking like which way these arrows go, you kind of just you hold them together. You make yourself real clear, there's not anything else going on. Now, if you take this pair and you add in another parent or a sibling, okay? So now, not only is everybody holding two lines of communication, I'm gonna communicate to red and to blue, and they're gonna each communicate to me, but they're also holding, monitoring all of the other lines of communication. So if you're this green person, you're doing this and this, you're monitoring this line of communication, okay? And everybody else is doing that too. So do you see how much more complicated this is than this? I want to show you what happens if you're not tracking. So if you are not able to follow the line of communication and there's two people, maybe there's a line over here and there's a line up here. So whoever the adult is has got to hold those two things together, get them going the right direction, and then they can help the child cooperate. If you are in a three, you've sat down for dinner with your one child and two parents, and your child is not tracking the lines of communication, it's not going to look like this nice little triangle. Guess what it's going to look like? It's going to look like this. Do you see how chaotic it starts to get? I'm not even done yet. Remember, we're also tracking other people's communication. This is only 3 people. If there are 4 people or 5 people, the number of lines starts to get really big. And if it feels like this, no wonder your child is running around and throwing something and whipping their shoelace around and poking their sibling. They have no idea what's going on. This is the reason for you to sit down at your dinner table or whatever exchange that you're having a hard time with. So we're literally getting rid of these extra lines. So if, for example, I have a hard time at mealtime, I'm gonna have the adults are not gonna talk to each other. Okay, so I'm gonna cut crosstalk. I'm literally reducing the number of lines that my child has to process. I am going to turn off the iPad, washer and dryer, the buzzy light, anything that I can turn off, I'm gonna turn off. If I have a dog who's gonna bark, I'm gonna get the dog out. I do not wanna add any more lines here. And then I'm gonna do all kinds of things to both physically and emotionally and metaphorically hold these lines of communication as together as possible. So I'm gonna do that by reducing the words. So I might say, instead of saying, I want you to pass me the spaghetti. My kid is already working really hard. Remember, it might feel like this. I'm just gonna say, spaghetti please, less things to process, more likely to have it feel like this. When it's like this, children can cooperate. Instead, I'm gonna think about holding it together spatially. My child who really struggles because it feels like this, I'm gonna put them between the parents or in the corner. My child who it feels like this for really likes deep pressure, great. I'm gonna sit next to them and squeeze their shoulder. Do you see how reducing chaos and commotion, including communication between the adults, including like extra words and language, including the dog, including visual chaos, is gonna make it easier because there are less lines to hold together. Okay, so this I can kind of figure out what's going on. This I have no idea. Of course, our kids are losing it. If your home feels like this, I want you to focus on less crosstalk, turning off what you can. Hold it together, think about the space, think about visual chaos and clutter, think about extraneous noises that are making it harder for your child to focus on whatever it is they're doing, whether it's toothbrushing or sitting down for dinner or getting out the door. This is why your kid always does well in a pair. Because if there's only 2 of you, you, dear parent, are probably working really hard to hold this together for your child. If you want more about your child's development and how they process and why they are just going bonkers when you try to get their jammies on or sit down for a family meal, I want you to DM me the word co-regulation. I will send you my master class.